In this video, I'll be documenting the process of making a new large crosscut sled. This sled will be based on the sleds made by Mark Spagnolo, the wood whisperer, and William Ng in some respective videos that I will link below. A crosscut sled is a very versatile tool to have for your table saw. A lot of people say it's the first thing you should build, and it's something that you'll use almost every day, or at least every day that you're in the shop. The sled that I made before was specific for my dado stack, and it had a lot of problems. A lot of things that I kind of slapped together on it, and those issues ended up compounding in the end and made a sled that was frustrating to use, and I couldn't square up properly, and I ended up just trashing it. So what I'd like to do now is really go back step by step, slow down, which is part of the reason for making this video, to just really slow down, pay attention to the details of making this sled, and really trying to end up with something that I'm happy with in the end, and that is square enough to be useful. It probably is not going to end up as perfect as a lot of people's crosscut sleds end up. Maybe it will, I don't know. But the point of this is to try and really go through and make something that's a little bit higher quality and a little bit better than what I usually am able to make in the shop. So, here we go. Just doing a little check for square, and it seems to be pretty good. I have my runners cut out a Purple Heart here. I just happen to have a scrap piece on hand, and I also have some of that high density plastic, but I have really not had good luck with that. It's harder for me to shape and smooth, and it also it's not quite cut properly where I obtained it from. So Purple Heart, these need to fit very, very, very tightly in here, and mine are just a little bit loose and a little bit sloppy. So I will try to make up for that when I glue them on and when I screw them on, and hopefully they'll work okay. So, the runner issue. Too much slop and wiggle in the sled back and forth. I did end up completely remaking both of those Purple Heart runners from another piece. I just couldn't think of a way to like reliably and with some longevity fix the issue that had happened. So what I ended up doing, making 2 new pieces, but nice enough, I replaced one at a time. So after I replaced the first one, I found that it was actually plenty tight, and that took all of the wiggle and all of that slop out of the sled. So we're all good now. After another 2 hours of work, I would say, it is worth it in the end if you can get a sled that doesn't wiggle and has no slop, you know, versus a sled that has. Very glad I spent the time to redo it. And now we're going to move on to the next step. We're just rechecking the first initial squaring of the back fence. 4/1000ths shim from my dado stack, just to try and get as close as I can here. And that's still looking pretty good. So I didn't film most of this because there's a bunch of people out there who've done it much better, much more cleanly. There's a lot of explanations on the 5-cut method used by William Ing and also referenced by Mark Spagnuolo when he was making his sled. I ended up being about 4/1000ths off over a 20-inch span, which comes out, I think, to like 1/256th of an inch over 20 inches, which for my purposes, that is good enough.